10 years. 10 years I waited for this day to come, where we could take a proper Harley-Davidson adventure motorcycle up to probably the most challenging roads in India, actually one of the most challenging roads in the world. And can't wait to head out. I couldn't be more privileged to ride with an eclectic group. Going to be meeting them right down the road.
Okay, let's go. Next stop, Chandru.
It's when Vijay told me who was on the trip. And it's going to be like 5 motorcycles. And it's going to be like Vijay Parmar. And it's going to be Amar Sandhu, who I grew up watching race. And Ankush Gulati, I've ridden with a couple of times. This is what makes a journey, right? Just not a motorcycle and a destination. It's the people you ride with. So an opportunity to ride with a group like this, I was like, yeah, there's no doubt about it. We have to do this.
Shatru, this section was there in the Raid Himalaya, and it brought back my memories of the raid, and I couldn't control myself, and I just started going flat out over the section. It was very, very rough.
And it's normally so rough that a bike that has to break down and die will do it. But soon Amrinder and me were at rally pace almost. The bike was totally surprising. I think we had a blast.
The brief to Vijay Parmar was very simple. Find us a route. That's not for the faint of heart. I think he relished the fact that we gave him an opportunity to do that.
There was this newly carved out road below Baralacha that looked so tempting. As usual, we got into a bit of trouble there because the bulldozers had piled rocks 3 feet by 3 feet and 1 foot high. And it was obviously to stop traffic from going further because the rivulet had cut a huge gash inside the road, and there was no way that anything was going to cross over. So they had put what they thought would be a roadblock, but the bikes went over it.
I've ridden about over 160,000 kilometers, but I think 99% has been on tarmac.
Wait.
So it was a learning curve and a game changer for me.
I again have to keep telling myself it's 1250cc, it's a big motorcycle. Because it's not acting like a big motorcycle. Everybody says because I'm tall and big it is easy for me. But it's not. To learn how to ride a big motorcycle is a whole different deal.
We are now going to be greeted by Sarchu and the Dust Bowl there, which used to be like this in 1988. So once again, they've ripped up the tarmac and they're laying out fresh tar on it and making the road into a 4-lane highway. But in the interim, we have this dust bowl to tackle, where it's about a foot deep. Fesh, probably the only place you'll get fesh in India. And for that, I think there's no question of sitting down and riding it. You have to stand. The other main thing is that we've got to go into the off-road plus mode, which means that you go into the off-road mode and keep it pressed for a while till it turns that beautiful shade of purple, which knows that you are now in the off-road plus mode. And best luck.
It's as good as talcum powder, which is laid down over rough terrain which has got boulders underneath, and there were 2 parallel tracks over it, and so it was really nice. I had on my left Vijay Parmar, who organized the Raid D Himalaya, and I was there on his right, who won the Raid D Himalaya, and we both had a one-on-one session, so that was really great.
So at the age of 16 I first came here, and from that time onwards practically every year. This is almost my 140th trip here, and between the raid recce's and the 2-3 trips at least every year. So this is actually my second home.
New day, went off to More Plains, beautiful terrain, and did some high-speed riding out there. It was fantastic.
The climb up to the vantage point at Sokar was great because it's a different side of Sokar that I've seen. It looked really hard. Once you start riding it up, the motorcycle made real short work of it. And the view at the end of it was just like such a great payoff. I've never seen Sokar like that from the side of a motorcycle. I mean, you see it when you fly in because you see it on the right side of your plane. But to see it from that vantage point with the motorcycle was amazing. So I was telling you about that day, no? At the Dakar. It was like a day like this, like a bowl.
This is the day at the Dakar, man.
Right before we reached Kila, just before the big climb started, there was at least a level 3 enduro stretch that Parmar managed to make light work of, and I was following him, and at some point there was a sharp right-hander, and the incline was tremendously difficult to take in one go, and I stalled the bike. We were on off-road plus mode with traction control off, and I'm struggling to keep the motorcycle from sliding down, and every time I opened the throttle, the rear just started spinning. I'm gasping for breath. And to my folly, I put this mask on, but the mask made it even more harder to breathe.
We must have been at like 14,000 feet. We were climbing up. The road went from dirt to these extreme rocks.
The fact that I could manage to get out of that section without having help. So yeah, I'm kind of proud about that.
We needed an MX motorcycle, and the Pan America I'd not say sailed through, but we came out on the other side, which is really amazing, and I think that was the highlight of my day.
It's not that simple, huh?
So when I came onto the road, so I quickly saw there was nobody out there. I had to gas it. If I had slowed down,
you would have dropped it.
There was no one behind me. I would have dropped the bike.
Yeah.
So I quickly saw left and nobody there. I gassed it. I went like this over this cliff, over the other side, and then came out.
I remember the last few bends of Kela trying to stay on the right side of the track, which is also the side of the track that the drop is on, but is the side you should have been on. I kept finding myself on the left, with the rocks and the tougher stretch, and I couldn't get my mind to flip me over to the other side because I then realized how tired I was. Then I realized how the altitude was clouding my judgment, and then I was just like, then if this is where I have to be, this is where I have to be, and I just had to work around it and work a little harder. But that view again, Kela Pass, was phenomenal.
It brought out feelings that I guess cannot be put in words. Every second of that climb was worth having reached there.
It was a big relief to make it to the top of Kela Pass. I had to make sure that it succeeded and that we'd actually do what we set out to do, that we'd come back with machine and man intact. Dr. Bunjal asked us to take Harley Davidson to greater heights than it had ever been before in India. So we decided to take him quite literally, and we went to 18,600 feet, which is the highest that a Harley Davidson has been anywhere in the world.
By the time we reached the top of Kela Pass, or rather Kela as it is, I think most of us were stretching the physical limitations.
Harley Davidson, who has only built motorcycles, on 90% has built motorcycles which have meant for highways and tarmac. They've actually found a new product which can go anywhere and make anything a road. So everything is a road for the new Harley Davidson Pan America.